Hey Scorpio Ophiuchus, welcome to your 2020 Sidereal Astrology forecast. So this video is for Sidereal Astrology using the actual size of the constellations. This is different from mainstream astrology, even Vedic astrology. So if you are new to the channel and you're not sure what your true sidereal signs are, definitely check out the link down below because your signs are different from your mainstream signs. And you want to make sure you're watching the right video. So make sure you do have your sun, moon, or ascendant in Scorpio or Ophiuchus. I do recommend these videos for the ascended sign. However, if you do want a more holistic view, you can watch all three and that will paint a more specific picture for you for the year ahead. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus, let's take a look at the year. Let's take a look at first the most important things from the outer planets. What kind of aspects are they forming, and the eclipses as well will be covered in this video. So the most important area that's going to be activated for you is your second house. This is the area that deals with our inner and outer resources. So it's a good time of developing, as it likely has been these past couple years. If you've been working hard at anything involving cultivating your inner resources like your self-worth, self-value, self-reliance, or your external resources like working on material security or getting more resources or natural things, it's been a really good time of cultivating this. And so this year is certainly that case because not only is Saturn finishing here, which means you'll likely start to solidify some things, especially towards the end of the year with this, but Jupiter, the planet of expansion, is also transiting through this sector as well. And this can help you see a lot of opportunities, look at your inner and outer resources from a bunch of different perspectives, and again, help you build upon it with Saturn. And Saturn's the contractor, the builder, Jupiter's the expander, and when they do get together in the same location like this, it ends up becoming a very constructive time for that area. Now in January, we have a lunar eclipse on January 10th, and that's going to be in your 8th house of deeper matters. So it's going to be a good time around mid-January to just do a status check with your deeper life. How are your more intimate relationships? How's healing and transformation in your life? Is there anything you can break some bondages towards that are any unhealthy bondages, either internally or externally? Internal bondages is like fears, things we can overcome. External bondages, maybe some codependency or interdependent kind of matters, or shared resources that are any imbalances or debts or anything like this. Good to do a status check with your deeper values and shared resources. From this, you'll likely gain some awareness, and then the remainder of the year, but particularly in this case, the next 6 months, it's really good to now further develop this area of empowerment, of bringing more health and balance to your interdependent life as well. Now, also in January 12th is when we have Saturn and Pluto conjoining, and collectively this is going to be a lot of restructuring taking place with a lot of the structures that we've built collectively from over the past roughly 36 years. And for you, it is in this resource sector. So for you, since probably 2007, a lot of you have probably been transforming your inner and outer resources, and maybe have noticed some transformations here in this sector throughout this time. But the difference now is that Saturn is involved, suggesting that there's some new foundations being laid in the wake of what is this transformation. So really good month to be non-attached to your inner and outer resources, which is then going to allow for the change and empowerment that can come from that, because when we are non-attached, you know, that is where we do empower ourselves and make the changes that we would maybe otherwise not make. And so from that willingness to change, then there's this constructive energy of Saturn to build some new foundations from this restructuring of your inner and outer resources. Now, February, we have the Jupiter-Neptune sextile, so nothing major with this one, but it is linking up that second house of resources very nicely with your home sector or personal life sector, where you've had Neptune since 2010. So with this, if there is anything that you could have a little more of that acceptance about regarding home or emotional security matters, you know, that could be very helpful and very supportive. It can be a bit easier to do this, but it's been, you know, maybe since 2010 a bit uncertain or nebulous about these more personal life things or your private life. But this year there's a good synergy, so I feel like a lot of things are going to be flowing a bit in this sector, and so just continuing to practice that, you know, presence and acceptance and gratitude to then align with your home and personal life in a more receptive way. Great way of working with the year, especially because Neptune is going to be finishing this sector this year, which we'll talk about. Now in March, we do have Saturn dipping into Capricorn, which is your third house. So this gives us a little bit of a prelude between the months of March and June, March through June, of what 2021 and 2022 will likely be about. And this is Saturn in your third house of practical matters, of reading, writing, communication, business, trade, connecting with your peers, your siblings. This is where a lot of hard work can start to be implemented. So it's not all, getting developed just yet, but March through June, any new foundations you want to lay with your practical life could be a really good way of preluding to the upcoming years. Now in April, we have that Neptune that's going to be leaving, like I said, that home sector, where you'll likely start to notice a little bit more clarity, a little less nebulousness around the home or private life, or sometimes health as well. And Neptune's going to go into your fifth house, which is actually Pisces, which is Neptune's domicile, where Neptune's most comfortable in the watery realms of Pisces. And so for you, getting a bit of a prelude as to what 2021 will be like, and after that, here between the months of April through September. And in this case, about having a more receptive approach to your passions. There might be on some level, like I said, some uncertainty, some unclarity in regards to what your passions are, your creative side, but this is very constructive for realigning to your passions in your life with a more accepting nature. So your passions might be your kids, it might be romance or wanting romance, it might be your business, something you've created, or your self-expression. And so just having a more receptive, a more accepting approach to these things is a great way of preluding to what Neptune's going to help you do, which is, again, find more peace with this sector or through this sector. If there's any hobbies or interests you want to do that are more Neptunian, like spiritual or creative or imaginative, that could also be a really good way of working with it. Also, if there's any dreams you may have about these things as well. Now, also in April, Jupiter is going to pass over Pluto in that second house. So this is another step in the right direction with the transformations of your inner and outer resources. In this case, Jupiter gives us a little bit more of a buoyant perspective, a little bit more of an open mind, and maybe even optimistic mind of what can be transformed with the sector. So there could be some opportunities, maybe even quite literally some opportunities for empowerment and change and transformation when it comes to those inner and outer resources of yours. So this starts April 4th. It goes on all the way through November 12th with this conjunction. And the midpoint, things might shift around June 30th. And it's a nice step in the right direction with that stuff as well. Again, being aware of what can be transformed and empowered. And with Pluto being what you could consider your modern ruler for both of your signs, this is just generally getting a bit of a more adventurous, maybe open-minded, free-spirited kind of nature as well. But again, probably operating through the inner resources, self-value, and external resources like material security. Now, June, we have a solar eclipse on June 21st, and this is going to be in your 8th house. So again, new steps in the right direction involving your deeper life. There might be some new things emerging, some new healing, empowerment, maybe even shared resources matters. So good to just listen and see what starts to arise, because we are going to have a lot of retrogrades, even the month and a half leading up to that with Venus retrograde, and even the 2 weeks after it with Mercury retrograde and during it. So really good to just be flexible with it. But in either case, the second half of 2020, probably really good for starting some new things in this, again, deeper realm of healing, transformation, or having healthy shared resources, or healthy emotional security, or healthy boundaries in your closer intimate relationships. Or maybe releasing some things involving, or experimenting with some new things here. September, Neptune's going to come back into that 4th house of home. So between September and that February of 2021, good to maybe, complete some things of having that more receptive approach to your home life. This is the last contact. After this, Neptune will leave. Like I said, 2021 onward, you'll probably gain more, less of that uncertainty, less of that nebulousness around this private life stuff. But use this between September and February to, again, induce a little more of that acceptance and peacefulness and tranquility and gratitude in the home sector, because that's fundamentally what Neptune's been helping you do. And sometimes there's even a dream or ideal that gets cultivated as well, that maybe, you know, it's uncertain since 2010, that now just kind of magically, you know, comes together. Not always, but, you know, sometimes that can be the case. Now, November, we have a lunar eclipse in Taurus, November 30th. So this will be a status check in regards to your relationship sector. And this is where things really start to shift in terms of different kind of energy, because the nodes will be changing sign. And they'll actually be going into your signs of Scorpio and Ophiuchus, at least the south node will be. So in this case, maybe something to do a status check with regarding relationships at the end of November. How's your relationship life going? Anything that started 6 months prior in regards to relationships could be solidifying at this time. And just what can you do going into 2021 to further develop your one-on-one sector? Now in December, we do have then the solar eclipse, which is going to be in that first house of yours on December 14th. So something new is starting to emerge in regards to maybe your identity, who you are, your needs, your independence. But with this comes some releasing, because it is a south node solar eclipse. So nothing to really do with this eclipse, as much as it's just good to kind of be aware of what arises during mid-December, because some things are probably going to be arising to have a little bit more of an acceptance about and work out. Maybe even some things from the past, in fact, maybe past people, past situations, things coming up, maybe involving your identity or who you are, your goals in some way, just to be worked out. And so just by being aware of it and, you know, not really doing much, but just being aware of what does arise, that can help the releasing process, which then from that comes a new you, a new identity, let's say, or, you know, new goals or needs or things like that, new independence. Now, the last thing here is that on December 21st, we have the last contact with Saturn, Jupiter. In fact, this will be the only conjunction, but it's the last, you know, it's kind of tying everything together, since both of these planets have been in the same constellation of Sagittarius. So a final development of anything you've been doing this year in regards to the development of your inner and outer resources, maybe some opportunities getting grounded, maybe seeing some potentials, right? This stuff really gets solidified, especially with Saturn starting to finish the sector going into 2021, really completing what is this, again, greater development with your inner self-worth, self-value, self-reliance, and maybe externally, material security, finance, income, or just simply connecting to nature, enjoying things in a material realm, and having more of that security there. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus, hope you all have a fantastic 2020. Now this video does come with a 20% discount on reading, so if you would like a personal reading looking at the year ahead, be sure to check out that link for a Skype session or an MP3 recorded reading. But I wish you all the very best. Thank you again for all of your support, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.